Hello everyone, welcome to our video. The topic today is Cold War and its influence on the world we live. Second World War ended with a happy ending. The Nazis had to pay for their sin. It seems that this peace lasts forever, but not intense. The outbreak of a series of wars, which involving two powers, the United States and Soviet Union. So, what is Cold War? It is a competition between capitalism and communism to become the dominant global doctrine. Air allies in the war against the fascists, but two conflicting ideologies have caused relationships to split. The bipolar order was formed. Europe was divided into two powerful blocks with two opposing systems. Western Europe represents capitalism, while the countries of Eastern Europe are led by the Soviet Union, representing communism. Germany was divided into four zones. West Germany was occupied by British, French, American, and East Germany is occupied by the Soviet Union. Even the capital was divided into two similar areas, divided by the Berlin Wall. The full economic war has officially begun, with the United States deploying Marshall Plan to rebuild Western Europe devastated by the war, and celebrated the slogan of Revival Europe and prevented the spread of communism. In this point, in 1949, the Soviet Union successfully created the atomic bomb, and in the same year, NATO was formed as a military alliance based on the North Atlantic treaties against the growing threat of the Soviet Union. To deal with NATO, the Soviet Union formed the Warsaw Pact military alliance. During the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union did not confront directly, but they fought indirectly through proxy war. China is having a civil war between the Nationalist Party and the Communist Party. The success of Chinese Communist Party enabled the socialist system to be linked from Europe to Asia. Politically winning, the Soviet Union provided aid to allow North Korea to invade the South. When the two sides struggled to the 38th parallel, there was a standstill and inconclusive. Then the war ended with a truce in 1953. After the war in Korea, all poured into Indochina when China and the Soviet Union gave aid to the Vietnamese Revolutionary Army for the war against the French for independence. The United States did not give into massive reinforcement to have France regain control of the colony. As a result, the French were completely defeated in the Dien Bien Phu campaign, had to abandon the colony and withdraw from Indochina. The Geneva Agreement was signed. Finally, in 1975, Vietnam reunited. The revolution in Cuba was successful and the communist government was formed. The CIA used anti-communist exile to attack the Bay of the Pigs, but the Big Pay invasion failed miserably. The Soviet Union and the United States were ready to declare war when the Soviet Union launched medium-range missiles aimed at the United States. The whole world was breathless and many countries prepared for Third World War or more terrifying nuclear apocalypse. But through negotiation, the Soviet Union agreed to withdraw all missiles in Cuba and in exchange for the United States not to invade Cuba anymore. In 1990, the Soviet Union's coalition system was on the brink of collapse when the communist leader in the Warsaw Pact lost power. The Berlin Wall was demolished. Germany was reunited and the Soviet Union tried to reform and open up the economy, but all failed. A year later, the Soviet Union disintegrated and was split into 15 independent republics. That marked the end of the Cold War and the bipolar order. A war that lasted for more than 40 years, from the beginning to the end. The Cold War has left a huge and heavy consequence. First, the Cold War has made the world always live in a state of tension. Sometimes it's so that the world is facing the risk of a new world war. Second, to produce weapons of destruction, the construction of thousands of military bases of countries has to spend enormous amounts of money along with human power. The countries of the two sides waste money. Humanity has to suffer many difficulties and hardships due to poverty, natural disaster, epidemic, environmental problems. The new world scenes were formed, followed by the strong development of capitalism worldwide from politics, economy to social culture. However, the end of the Cold War has a lot to do with the rise of today's world. A typical example is the creation of NATO. The facts show that this organization is growing day by day. The number of members is increasing from 12 to 28 allies across North America to Europe. Furthermore, NATO partnerships are diverse, valuable. In addition to its formal partnership, NATO cooperates with a range of countries which are not part of this structure. NATO has cooperation relations with more than 40 countries, such as Argentina, Australia, Colombia, and so on. NATO also cooperates with a range of international organizations like United Nations, European Union, Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, often referred to as partners across the globe. These countries develop cooperation with NATO in areas of mutual interest, including emerging security challenges, and some contribute actively to NATO cooperation, either militarily or in some other way. NATO and its extensive partner network have played a key role in maintaining global stability and security. NATO has become a collective barrier of defense for many member countries, making a great contribution to keeping peace in Europe and in protecting the member of states. Not only that, the Cold War had a profound impact on the civil rights movement. Soon after the United States segregated military defeated a racist regime in World War II, American racism were a major concern of United States allies. A sharp Soviet propaganda regime, and an obstacle to American Cold War wars throughout Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Under the Johnson presidency, the American society has gone through a new social upheaval. Since he pursued successfully the growth of the welfare state, programs provided like health care for the elderly, various measures to combat poverty, federal assistance for education. The Cold War have facilitated key social reform, including desegregation. Civil rights activists gained tremendous advantage as the government sought to polish its international image. This creates favorable conditions for civil rights to stand up and defend their legitimate rights and interests, bring equality to the people. On the flip side, the risk of nuclear war is higher than at any time since the end of the Cold War. It threatens humanity, security, peace, and the stability of the world. More than 70 years after the invention of nuclear weapons, the EU stopped at only 2 attacks on Hiroshima and Nagasaki on Japanese territory, and it left the very huge consequence on the humanity. That is the end of our video. Thanks for watching.